much like what happens when a woman abandons her responsibility. When a man abandons his responsibility, it has a ripple effect. It could potentially destroy his wife, it could potentially traumatize his children, and it could also have a ripple effect on society itself at large. This is what happens when a man fails to lead. Assalamu alaikum all, welcome back to my channel. I pray that you're all in the best of health and iman. If you are new, welcome. My name is Nafisa. I am a certified relationship and trauma informed coach. Before I begin on today's topic, guys, I just want to make a couple of disclaimers. This is not about seeking men who are perfect, because much like us women, you will never find a man who is perfect. Yes, everybody will have their flaws. What I'm talking about today is consistent effort and accountability from men. I feel like we are living in a society when this is beginning to just erode, not only from the men themselves, but also society's expectation of men. Men are just allowed to just drop children left, right, and center, have them and just abandon them and just go. And to be honest, especially here in Britain, men aren't really held that accountable for the kids that they have. They're not forced into paying child support and other means of taking care of the children. I feel like to some extent, society, especially British society at large, has been enabling men to continue to be irresponsible. And the impact on family life, the impact on society at large, the impact on the generations that we are having now is immense. The funny thing now, though, is that now there is this argument about men not marrying women who are fatherless and women who don't have fathers because they've got too many issues. Come on, guys. It takes two to create a human being, as we all know. These fatherless girls, where are their fathers? Where are their fathers? Many men also grew up in homes where they too did not have fathers. So again, this is not about perfection. This is about consistency in effort, and this is also about accountability. As this is an Islamic channel, I want to start off by reiterating the role and responsibility of men as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has quoted in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that men are the providers and the protectors of women. And of course, that not only extends to women, it extends to anyone who is under them, including their children. Men are the providers and the protectors. And provision does not only extend to money, because that's the only thing we think about. So when men are providers, we think money alone. It's not just money. Men are there to provide a level of stability. They are there to provide a level of safety. They are there to provide emotional security, emotional safety. There is so much that comes with that provision that is for the man to carry. And so this role of a man is a very serious role. That is also why when I think about, for me at least, some of the wisdoms behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowing men to be able to have multiple wives is because it comes with so much responsibility at the same time. Allah never gives you something good without without a responsibility being accompanied with that goodness. Okay, so if a man feels he can have one family, carry all that responsibility, have another family, carry all of that responsibility too, perhaps having the second wife is the reward. This is just in my mind. Perhaps having a second wife is the reward for all of the hard work that he actually has to put in order to maintain that family and maintain his position and his role as the provider and the protector. So what begins to happen when men fail to be providers and protectors? Today, we're going to specifically look at the impact on the wives. Men, if you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, she's going to make a whole bunch of excuses for women. I'm not. I'm going to say it as it is. I have a feminine group, a feminine community. And this community is not how to teach women how to be like, hate men or whatever. It's actually how to teach them how to enter into their soft position as the feminine that they are, because they have been on the receiving end of what we're going to talk about today. They are women who have become more masculine because of the impact of men who don't carry the responsibilities that they should. I want us to start with the money aspect, because one of the biggest impact that this can create is a woman who is financially stressed and a woman who is operating from survival mode. When a man fails to carry his financial responsibility, a woman is forced to feel like she has to carry it, because otherwise, how are the bills going to get paid? Otherwise, how are the children going to have stability in their lives if one of us don't step up? When you're in a relationship with a man who does not step up financially, he is not looking for how to ensure that his family have at least their basic needs and even above that met. You have a woman who then feels she has to step up because otherwise the consequences are going to be upon her and upon her children. So you may end up with a wife who is working overtime. On top of her working overtime, on top of her stressing about how are we going to pay these bills, she comes home and you as the man are expecting her to be the good wife, have the food ready, have the house maintained, have the kids in order, and here she is now carrying a burden that Allah has not actually made hers. In Islam, the financial provision is actually for the man. But I can hear some of you saying, women's expectations these days are too high. Come on. I feel like it's an excuse that is used by a lot of lazy men that women's expectations these days are too high. A woman, all she could be asking you to do is literally pay rent and a couple of the other bills, and you will say her expectations these days are too high. For women whose expectations of men are really high, I just want you guys manage your expectations. I've spoken to you guys about this. The reality of marriage is not that one person is going to be able to fully carry the load. At times, you are going to have to help your spouse, but it should not be solely your wife's responsibility to take the family to the next level. If you are a man and you are waiting for your wife to come up with the plans, do all that is necessary, earn the money that's going to take the family to the next level, I'm sorry to say, but you are on your way to having disrespect from your wife. Because that is one of the results that come out of a situation where you have a man who does not assume his responsibility and take that seriously. What we are looking for here is effort. The man doesn't need to be rich. Ladies, the percentage of men who are quote unquote rich, they are so small, majority of us aren't going to marry rich men. Let's just say how it is. But what we do need are men who are hardworking, men who are dedicated, and men who are generous to their wives and their children with their provision. When we don't have that, a woman is forced to assume the role of a man. Now she is stressed out. Now when it's for your time to have your rights in the evenings, she's too tired, mentally stressed out. Because she's been thinking about all the things that's going to go wrong if the bills don't get paid this month. Her mind has been consumed worrying about that, which was your load to carry, but you didn't carry it. On top of it, now you want her to be the wife that you expect her to be. What you end up with is a wife who is resentful and angry at her husband. When you get a wife who is resentful and angry at her husband, she loses all form of respect for that man. Men, I tell you, it is never in your favor. To allow a woman carry your responsibility, she will disrespect you as a result. Few women you will find will not. And I think for the women who are tolerant of a man in this position is usually when they know that their men are usually hardworking men. If my husband suddenly is in a situation whereby he cannot provide for us, maybe he's sick, maybe something happened, I'm far likely to be like, cool, I got us, I can handle this, I'll handle this for now. But it has to be with me knowing that as soon as my husband has the opportunity to get back on his feet, he's going to be on his feet. I'm not going to have to be the one to chase around jobs for him. I'm not going to be the one thinking about how to get us to the next level. With knowing that he is the type of man anyway to push himself, to push us forward, to put his effort in, to put in the hard work, I'm far likely to be a respectful, a humble, and a helpful wife to him during those times of difficulty. What happens is sometimes women notice that when they pick up, because they feel they have to pick up the burden, the man drops everything. Now he feels he can chill out. He wakes up, he's on the phone, he's talking rubbish, he's on social media, he's chatting up girls, whilst the woman is trying to juggle it all. She's trying to juggle it all, and you are wondering, what's going on? Why doesn't my wife respect me? Because you dropped the ball. You dropped your responsibility, and as a result, you end up with this resentful wife because she is now carrying burdens that were never meant for her to carry in the first place. So although life happens, men, it is crucial that you carry your roles and responsibilities. If you do not, you're not going to have the nice and smiley wife open the door. She's salaam alaikum to you. She's smiling. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have that, because she is just going to be building resentment inside about how you allow her to carry all the burdens alone. So it is crucial that for a man to have peace in his marriage, to see a happier, more calm, more feminine version of his wife, that he steps up. Same goes for fathers. Fathers, step up. Take care of your children. Provide for them. Let them see an example of a real man from you. Don't let them have to say, if it wasn't for mum, we would be in the trenches by now. As the provider and the protector, your kids should be able to say, Dad fulfilled his role 100%. He was there for us in those ways. The second impact is a loss of trust. When a man fails to carry his responsibility, he loses the trust of his wife. Because the promise of I will take care of you, that is unsaid, but is there at the time of marriage in Islam, because both spouses are expecting it, because this is what our religion preaches, that men provide and men protect. When you fail that, she no longer trusts you. She feels like you entered into this commitment called a marriage, knowing that this was going to be your role, but now that you're in it, you've checked out. So therefore, she can't trust you anymore. When your wife cannot trust you, another crucial foundation of marriage has been broken. It has been broken. And again, this is not the case for a man who continues to try. We know that there are going to be times where you're trying, but maybe you're unable to find work. But she needs to see from your side that you wake up every morning and it's on your mind. It can't be a thing where she has to remind you, have you applied for that job? Do I need to fix your CV for you? Do I need to do this for you? Oh, I went to that other place. If she's the one taking the initiative that you are supposed to take, every time she has to take the step you should take, she loses more and more trust for you, more and more trust for your role, more and more trust for your ability to actually be that head of that family. You begin to lose your position and your role as the head of the family because you are no longer leading. When you're not doing anything, you're not leading anymore. A leader is active. A leader is constantly taking decisions. A leader is constantly doing something towards the end goal. When a leader no longer does anything, it's not just about standing in front saying I'm the leader. Imagine you're praying in Salah and the Imam comes, he stands in front of everyone. He doesn't do Allahu Akbar. He doesn't bend in sujood. He's just standing there. Everyone's thinking, wait, what's going on? At some point, someone's going to get angry, push that Imam out of the way. They're going to stand there like, Salah's time is moving. We need to pray. Because everything has its timing. And some things should be done at the right time. Because if they're not done at the right time, there will be consequences. Us Muslims really should know that. We should know that. It's a habit that Allah has been trying to teach us by giving us even Salah as an example. Prayer. Prayers in Islam, they have their appointed time. There are certain time for prayer. You can't just be like, yeah, I'll pray, but I'll pray when I feel like it. Sure, you can pray when you feel like it, but trust me, you're going to get punished for that. If you continue praying when you feel like it, there will be a punishment for delaying Salah. Why? Because Allah put an appointed time for each Salah, and it should be done during that time. So, men watching, leadership requires a lot of knowledge, it requires wisdom, it requires tact, and it requires action. You are not just a leader because you are male, because you were born a male. That does not make you a man. And so you begin to lose the trust of your wife when you no longer assume that role and you just let the... It's like she can't trust your ability to keep her secure, to keep her safe, to keep her provided for. You don't know what it feels like for a woman when she can rest in her feminine and know that her man's got her. Like, no, my husband, I know he's got our back. He's got us. I don't have to worry. I don't got to be stressed. Nothing. He just sorts it out. I remember one time I was speaking to one of my friends. They had just bought a home through one of those halal home schemes. And she was telling me, she was just like, I'm not even sure how the whole process works because my husband dealt with it. And immediately there, for me, it felt such a beautiful balance of masculine and feminine, and she was at home taking care of her baby and all of that. She was just like, yeah, my husband was the one that did it. I didn't really understand how it went. I'm trying to, but he sorted it out for us. And I said to myself in my heart, that is what it looks like for a woman to be rested in her feminine. But you know what? It was her husband who allowed her to be able to rest in that feminine state. If she was there panicking, oh my God, do you know what? How I had to do it all, I had to carry it all, my husband's just there uselessing himself, there would not be that level of trust she has for her man. So men, if you want to take something good out of this video, all the things I'm saying, if you do, can lead to a bad marriage. If you flip it and you do the right thing, you can 100% have a good marriage. You don't need to be perfect, men, in order for you to have a good marriage. A woman will be a lot more tolerant of your negative side if she can see more effort on your positive side. There is no woman who will come to me in my coaching practice, be like, I have these certain issues with my husband. If I look at his good side and I can see the main things are ticked off, I'm like, sis, this is not a marriage to throw out. Let's see how we can make this work. And she is far more likely to be open to receiving that because she knows her husband's good outweighs his bad. But when a man drops the ball and the woman no longer trusts him, when she has to carry all of the burden and all of the weight, that marriage is on its way out.